Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. Today we've got my skillless Towa deck, and I'm not saying that because it takes no skill, but I'm using the skillless engine for it. I don't think this is completely unique to me. I know some people reached out to me for it, and for me personally, it kind of came to mind when I heard like that developer who stole one of these one drops on Goku's and then had a 4-star ball in hand and added it and was able to +3. Wow, what a fantastic change of events there. But yeah, I felt like, man, that was really cheesy. And one of the worst things about this leader is it can sometimes fall behind in card advantage. So I felt like it was a perfect engine for this deck for just card draw and such. And I put it in, boom, bam, did it. So that's pretty much what I did, but it's been really great. It's been better than I thought it would be, and I've been able just to steal like a lot of wins with it. So let's talk about the deck. So for the leader, so it's Towa, the new leader from the anniversary box. It is an active main once per turn burst 3er who says, look at the top 5 cards from your deck, choose up to one mirror or fu among them, add them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So that's fantastic, being able to burst to fill up your drop for overwhelm, but also being able to find a mirror or fu. We're mostly just looking for mirrors. We only have one fu in the main at the moment, but yeah, since we're kind of a combo deck, we need to find these mirrors. It's great. I would say use the 3-drop or the 5-drop mirror above the 7-drop. You really need the 7-drop in your deck to resolve your 5-drop. So that's something that's really important. So only grab that if you need to, but it's not the worst thing if you have to grab that. So you have to be really cognizant of like how many mirrors are in your deck. So which is also a really good thing that you have this 1-drop in there, because you can search your deck for balls, and then you can make sure you know how many mirrors are in your deck too. So anyways, so it's also to awaken this lady, you got to do you have to have 10 or more black cards in your warp, and then you draw one. And choose one of your energy, switch to active mode, then flip this card over. So it's a really unique way to awaken. There's no leader like it right now, and it kind of says, you should probably be running at least 10 black cards in your deck, right? So I think since you're kind of pressured to awaken by having a lot of black cards, I think that having it at the ratio that I have right now, there are 43 black cards, and then there are 7 yellow cards. I think maybe 10 could be you could be kind of ballsy, but definitely no more than 10. But 7 feels really great. It's never been in a situation where like I have to awaken, like I have to like drop more cards to awaken or anything like that. It just feels great, and I think it's a good ratio. So there is that. And then on the awaken side, choose one black card, active main once per turn. Choose one black card in your warp, or sorry, 3 black cards in your warp. Place them in your drop area, then choose choose one mirror card in your battle area, and gains critical for duration of the turn. So and that's really the only form of like quote unquote card advantage, is that you're denying your opponent some card advantage. So it's like half card advantage, more just being aggressive. So that's where like a lot of people felt like this leader wasn't really good, not being able to gain any card advantage on the awaken side. But for me, what I really like is it also has this active battle once per turn for 1 energy. Choose one card in your hand, place in your drop area. Choose up to 1 keyword skill on an opponent's battle card, negate it for the duration of the turn. So this is really good. Can be really defensive, and just the fact that this skill is on the leader, it really just messes with what your opponent wants to do. You have since it's just active battle too. Your opponent has to kind of play around it and just do a lot of awkward things to really try to win. So because like they can be swinging in with some like triple strike dude, and then you just for 1 energy you make it a single strike, and then you only take 1 life, right? It's more effective if you do it like for Beerus, where it's more of a like a surprise attack. But this is still fantastic. And just the fact once again that the card has this ability. Your opponent treats all their double strike cards as if they're single strike, just because they don't want to they don't want to play into it. So really fantastic. It also has some offensive capabilities because it can remove barrier, which is absurd sometimes. Some of the more problem cards right now are cards with barrier. So being able to like swing with Towa, activate 1, drop 1 to remove a barrier, and then get rid of it after the battle is fantastic. And yeah, it just feels really good. So I think the leader's really good, and once again, card advantage was the only thing that was holding it back, and so bam, we've got this Son Goku engine. So what's this card do? Choose active main once per turn. Choose up to one 4-star ball from your deck or drop here. Add to your hand, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. So it's a draw one for a specific card, but the specific card that it draws is a 4-star ball, which is just a free combo card. So it's definitely it's always live in hand. It's never really a dead card, and just the fact that you're able to find it once per turn is fantastic. So if you have 3 of these out here, you can find up to 3 balls and just essentially draw 3, which can really help you if you're missing out on some card advantage. And once again, you can just combo with them, and then next turn draw 3 again, right? It's really good. Gives you something to do on your early turns when you're trying to get to cards in your warp and get energy up to 4 for your mirror. So there's that, and also active main for 2. If your leader card is black, choose up to one skillless battle card with energy cost of 3 or less from your deck or drop area. Play it, then shuffle your deck if you look through it. I didn't realize that you had to have a black leader for this ability, but I just figured it out. So. Man, I must have made some decks with. Oh, I definitely have made some decks where that's not the case, so I gotta fix it. Anyways, so for 2 energy, you're able to get this big 3K or 30K guy, and that can help you a lot. Just put some pressure. It can be good for getting rid of some of your opponent's cards that are kind of sticky, and in general, worst case, it just gets you value, right? You're probably not using that 2 energy anyways for anything. You have some 1 energy overwhelm cards, but really on turn 2, you're not really doing that much. You're either using this, or if you have a Vegeta time regulator, you can use that. But I think this is a really cool card, and just the fact that it has options with your energy, when as for 1 card, I think it's really great. So good cards there. And then we're just running 4 of the Super Saiyan Blue Goku and 3 of the yellow skillless Son Goku. I chose these cards just because they. I originally was running more yellow, and I was running I'm the world champion, so you could get 2 more draw off this guy, for having to run yellow. But I didn't feel like it was really doing that much, and just the fact that you have these cards, I think it's good. So these can be any colors. If you want to really text something else in, you can change the colors for here. I just thought yellow was the best, so that's why I did it. And yellow is pretty splashable too. Being able to add cards like Mutaido or even Planet Vegeta can be great in this deck, just because it can turn 1, you can find time regulator and then go from there, or a 1-drop Son Goku. So good stuff there. And let's go into, the generic engine. So the big win condition for this game is doing this mirror combo. So we're using Mirror Self-Reformation. It's a double strike, Uni Absorb. Choose 1 Towa card in your warp, place it under this card. If your leader card is a Towa or Android, choose up to 1 mirror card in your deck with energy cost 7. Play an active mode on top of this card, and then shuffle your deck. It also has Deflect, which is good and permanent. If you have 10 or more cards in your warp, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. Whew. Alright, so big deal is that it's a 20k double strike that you play in turn 4 if you reach the conditions. You can give it crit with leader if you want. Sometimes and then you can go into your 7-drop that also is double strike, but crit doesn't carry over. Anyways, you sometimes actually do want to give this crit, because then you can go in for game with this guy. So I don't think it's a bad idea to do that way. You just have to realize what you can do. But the other way you can also do this combo is with this 3-drop Dark Absorption Mirror. I think there's some merit for running this one. It's an Overwhelm and then Union for 4. You do the same thing, but you have to have Mirror has to be in your hand or warp inside of your deck, and having Mirror in your deck is kind of a steep cost sometimes. It can be kind of tricky to make sure he stays in there. So since we're milling so much of our deck and stuff, so I think there's some merit for running this guy, and but that's just that. So and then also we have Mirror Create Absorb. So normally this is just a 1-drop or 1 energy big beat stick, but it actually has another ability. So when you play this card using Union, your opponent chooses 3 cards from the hand, send them to your warp, and this card gains double strike for duration of the turn. So you being able to warp 3 cards from your opponent's hand is great. You can't get Mercenary Towed either because it's warping, and also your leader's black, so they have to pay 2 energy for it. So that's really great. And then being able to have a big unblockable 30k, 100k at times, whatever. If you have 10 cards in your drop area, this is an 80k double striker that you can give crit, which is just absurd. So there is that. Just great card. And also, if you play this with Union Absorb, it just stays on your field too, so you don't even have to worry about that. It just feels very good, and there's that. So Other than that, there's just a bunch of fill cards for this. So our super combo is Kai, because it makes sense to have Kai. You have so many cards in your warp so easily, and then also you don't want to be based on sparking or cards in your life, because sometimes I've finished games pretty easily when you're at like six or five life. So I think Kai is the easiest one, especially because it can be active on turn one. And then let's see, we're running one Dimensional Banisher Fu and one Mass Sand, the Mysterious Warrior. I didn't know which one I liked more, so I just added both. I feel like this Fu, they both have their moments to shine, especially since your leader can remove barrier, or you can even remove blocker with Mass Sand. Or for Mass Sand, because you can't warp blocker cards. But I think both these are good. If you really want to be good with this deck, I'd probably choose one and go from there. I'd assume Dimensional Banisher Fu would probably be better, just because there's synergy with Towa. But definitely have at least two of these cards in between your main and side. I think that's a must, and can help you out a lot. So there's that. 3 Vegeta Time Regulator. I have 0, so that's not why I'm putting 3 in this deck. But I think this is a central card. It can sometimes like not do a whole lot. In this build, we're kind of sacrifice some of our generic Overwhelm cards for our Kid Goku engine. So that's fine. I think 3 is a good number. And then also one of the big things for this card you can do is that you can put your mirrors back in your deck. You even put them on the bottom of your deck, so they're really hard to get out until you shuffle your deck. But yeah, this card's pretty good at that, and yeah, it just being able to get some passive card draw on top of the one drop Goku just really helps this deck's weakness. And so there's that. You got to be really careful how many cards you put back into your deck, because sometimes you put too many and then you can't awaken those. So it's a big juggle. Knowing exactly how many cards are in each area or something you have to have consistently in your deck, in your head. It's something you can make mistakes for. So let's see. We're also running Relentless Destruction Mirror, because it's a good mirror card that is a free overwhelm. Overwhelm with no energy. Has card destruction, which is great. And you can find it with your leader, and also these Towas. So, and then there's also the one-drop Towa, running 4 of these ones. When you play this card, look at the top 7 cards in your deck, choose up to 1 mirror, 1 Mass Sand among them, add them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So there's that, and then also 4 of the Umbral Invitation Towa. So it's a Dark Overwhelm, so you have to have specifically black cards. But for 1, Overwhelm, and when you play this card, choose up to 1 battle card in your opponent's energy area with energy cost 3 or less, gain control of it. I think this card is okay. It's Dark Overwhelm, not Overwhelm, so Vegeta doesn't proc with it, which can be kind of stinky at times. And it's also an Overwhelm for 1, which can be kind of awkward. I think after playing, I think it's better to have 3 of this Time Ruler Towa and 3 of this, and maybe even 2, and then 2 of this Towa Space Time Unleashed. I ran 8 because I wanted to make sure they're in my warp, but that wasn't ever an issue ever. It felt like I had like 3 or 4 in there. So I think you can take 1 or 2 out from here if you want to find more space for something else. But I think it's still a fantastic card. Just being able to like steal cards from your opponent, I think is an okay thing to do right now. You can still like do the original combo, steal their 1-drop. And you got some 4-star balls in deck, so you add them, and then boom, you can even pay 2 energy and get a big 30k out. So a lot of combos there, and it helps out a lot. So and then lastly, we have I guess 2 lastly. So we're running 2-dimensional support trunks. This card's probably can be used for something else. It can be kind of good just being able to find this for free, and then you have a 20k crit that just comes out and swings at your opponent, but it's not super great. It's not deck changing potential. So if there's something else you want to put in the deck, do it. I think this build needs a couple more free overwhelms, because right now we only have the 4, which can be kind of awkward at times. So I think adding more free overwhelms would be good. And there's that, and then also we've got 4 power burst. I think I've rarely had to use a negate in this deck. It feels crazy saying that you can maybe pop 1 or 2 less of these, but this card's great. You're also able to find when you play it, you get to add 1-drops from your drop area or warp, so you can just add more of these Son Gokus and keep spinning them from there. Just great negate, and then also it's a free negate too. So make sure you have sparking. That can be sometimes a trick. It's not super hard to do, but just be aware that it is a sparking, and you have very little cards in your drop area at times. So I think that's all the cards in here. In a lot of cases, Time Regulator is not necessary if you're don't have them like I do. I think you can sub them with other cards that generate value. But just it's not necessary. Don't feel like I feel like you can add other cards and do fine with it. So what else is there? So here's just a bunch of cards on the side that I considered. Minus Skilly Zone. Through the Dark Banisher is a great alternate win condition. But I feel like you got enough from the mirror. Creative Absorb. Planet Vegeta was an idea. Just I think I already said it, but being able to find either a 2-drop or 1-drop is fantastic. Trunks Power Overseeing Time. This can be great for if you're missing some cards. You can just do this, and then it's also 20k Double Strike, which is nothing to scoff at. Bardock can be great. It's just a free overwhelm that you get to look at 2 cards, and then you can help find your combo pieces, and you still refill your drop a little bit. So this is a good card here. Bonds of Friendship Android 8. When you play this card, look at top 7 card. The only thing I'd say I hate about this card is it's overwhelm 4, so you can't just overwhelm it for free with Towa. But Bonds of Friendship Android 8. This card can be kind of sneaky. I originally thought about adding it, but decided not to. But you could, have this Goku out and Android 8 out, and then you can just for 1 energy you can have Towa remove barrier and then just combo off with Son Goku, and then bam, you got the win, right? You KO something during the battle phase. You do a really good thing. So that's something to consider. I think it's a little bit janky, not really consistent, but there you go. We also have Fu is a really maybe a side deck idea, just because you do really get to a lot of big energy. Your opponent can't really finish you off very easily, and then just being able to drop this and have a 30k Double Strike and your opponent can't use any of the cards they have feels really good. So there's that. We already talked about Time Ruler Towa. There's also Mirror from Darkness. If you just want more mirrors, it's a critical 20k for overwhelm 4, so it's just something you can do. You should definitely have this Mercenary Talon you drop in your side deck, just because it's already black, and then if you do run against any hand control, they have to deal with this, and that can just feel good, especially since it's something they have to get around. So Haru Haru should definitely also be on the side. It just wins against green and yellow decks. You already are using critical stuff. You're already wanting stuff to be put in your top of your deck to your drop area. You really want cards that untap energy. It's just fantastic in a lot of ways. And it's really good. And then also we've got Time Patrol Trunks, just our like Cronoa or what Supreme Kai of Time, whatever. Just if you want it really cheap, overwhelm 3 cards that generates value, I think this could be one of them. And lastly, we've got Absolute Attack Mirror. Also, it can be good for if you find like a mirror, like one of the 7-drops, you can put it on the bottom of your deck if it's one of the 2. So, and then also Absolute Attack Mirror. Actually, we're only running what? We're only running 8 battle cards. You should definitely be running the Time Patrol, because none of these you really need. You don't really need Power Burst. I feel like you just run it. So Towa is probably better. And then Absolute Attack Mira. This your opponent can activate blocker during this card's attack. This was just super cheesy. If you want to use it against like blue Gogeta, you just play this card, and then bam, look, you can't activate those blockers. That's probably a bad card. Don't run that card. So that's pretty much it. This is really flexible. This is a super flexible deck. I don't think this is a final list by any regard. I'd say it's at least half complete. I'd say the ratios for the yellow cards I think are good. The mirrors can probably change their ratios. Vegeta Time Regulator can. The Towas, and maybe even Power Burst. You could be a madman and only run like 2 or 3 and be super crazy. But that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think about this. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.